This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, we have Shiur in Sefer Melachim. We're ready to begin in this part 5. If you remember, we left off. We spoke about how Shlomo HaMelech carried out the mission that David HaMelech gave him as a command, as a final will, as he told him to preserve the Torah, preserve the mitzvot, get rid of all of the people that caused me problems that I wasn't able to get rid of. You remember who it was? You had Yoav, you had Eviatar. Remember Eviatar, the Kohen Gadol? He was also, we didn't get to Shimei ben Gera. We have Yoav, Eviatar. Who else was gotten rid of? Adoniyahu was gotten rid of, even though he wasn't really addressed by David HaMelech, but Shlomo HaMelech found a way to get rid of him as well. And Shlomo HaMelech basically carried out the full mission of his father as he was commanded to do. So now we get to the last person that David HaMelech commanded Shlomo to eliminate, and his name was Shimei ben Gera. Now, what was Shimei ben Gera known for? He was actually the Rebbe of Shlomo HaMelech. So this is actually the most complicated one, because David essentially asked Shlomo to find a way to get rid of his own Rebbe. Now you say, how could a student do that to his Rav? Well, when the Rav makes such a serious mistake as he did, and the father tells you that in order for the tzaddik, for Shimei ben Gera, he was not an evil person. He was a righteous person, but he had a sin that he thought David HaMelech was a bad person, and he really wasn't. David HaMelech was a great tzaddik, very, very close to God. That sin needed to be atoned for. Now, if you remember, when David HaMelech was running away from Avshalom, who comes to greet him? Shimei ben Gera, who lived in Shevet Binyamin, in the town of Bachurim. And he comes out with stones, and he starts throwing it at David HaMelech, as if to say, I'm stoning you. Why? Because you're so evil. Tzeh, get out of here. He tells David HaMelech, you don't belong to be king. It's good that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took you down. And he curses David HaMelech. He calls him a mamzer. He calls him Moavi. He calls him Noef. He calls him terrible things that he thought David HaMelech really did sin in. And David HaMelech, when he returned through the same path that he left Yerushalayim, he came back on that same path, and he returned. Who comes out to apologize? Shimei ben Gera. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you're king. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And they seek to kill him. All the generals in David HaMelech, what do they say? Let's get rid of this man. And David HaMelech says, I will not go ahead and I will not execute Shimei ben Gera. He will live throughout my lifetime. And he swore to Shimei to keep him alive. But he said that he was going to keep him alive. But Shlomo HaMelech has the responsibility to punish Shimei ben Gera. But tells him, David HaMelech, don't punish him because of that sin. Find a way to eliminate Shimei ben Gera for his own actions. So Shlomo HaMelech now has a very difficult mission. What are you supposed to do? As Shlomo HaMelech, how do you get someone to be punishable by the king, the death penalty, when you cannot punish him for his previous sins? What are you supposed to do? How do you get him to violate and to be punishable? So listen to the wisdom of Shlomo HaMelech and how at such a young age he's able to do something so clever and so smart. So the Torah starts off, the Navi begins, and it says, Vayishlach HaMelech. The king sends his messengers. Vayikra leShimei. Shimei lived, now I have to think of Eretz Yisrael for a minute, Yerushalayim and the Bet HaMikdash, which is not yet built, but Yerushalayim was still a city that was a very, very important city in Am Yisrael. It was a very central city. Is in what territory is this city? It's in the territory of Shevet Yehuda. The Shevet Yehuda is the tribe of Yehuda. That's where Yerushalayim is. But you know what's right on the border of Yerushalayim? Shevet Binyamin. So Shevet Yehuda is on one end, the more western end, and then there's Shevet Binyamin on the more eastern end of Yerushalayim. And Shim'i ben Gera lives on the eastern side with Binyamin, Shevet Binyamin. And Shlomo HaMelech calls him to come to Yerushalayim, to the territory of Shevet Yehuda. And what does he command him? He says to him, Vayomer lo b'nei lecha bayit b'Yerushalayim, build for yourself a home in Yerushalayim. You're no longer going to live in this territory. You are going to now live in Yerushalayim. And he made him take an oath. He told him, from now on, you live in Yerushalayim. And you see this little brook, it's called Nahal Kidron. This Nahal Kidron, you are not going to cross it ever again. Is that clear? Shim'i ben Gera. Now this is a student of Shim'i, but it's also the king of Am Yisrael. So he orders him by the command of the king and an oath to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to not leave the boundaries of Yerushalayim, to not cross over this river. So everybody thinks to themselves, okay, what's the big deal? Doesn't sound like such a big thing. Why does Shlomo HaMelech give him this command to not leave Yerushalayim? Number one, it's because he doesn't want him to rebel. Shim'i ben Gera was very suspect because he already was against David HaMelech. There is a good chance that he would be against Shlomo, because remember, Shlomo is the child of David from Bathsheba, from that relationship that Shim'i ben Gera disapproved of, that thought was adultery. He was born from that relationship. So Shim'i ben Gera is an enemy, is sort of an advocate for the rebellion. So therefore, Shlomo was a little bit suspect that maybe Shim'i ben Gera wants to rebel. Now, when you start a rebellion, who do you talk to first? Sivan, Tafsiki. Who do you talk to first when you start a rebellion? People that you don't know or the people that you know? Obviously, you first try to convince the people in your own city, the people that your own community, your own family, you start first. So every rebellion starts from home base. Shim'i ben Gera lives in Bachurim, in the country of Binyamin. If he is going to start a rebellion, he's going to have to talk to those people. So if he's in Yerushalayim, he's not going to be able to lead a rebellion. Says Shlomo HaMelech, I want him in Yerushalayim so he doesn't go ahead and rebel against me. That's number one. He keeps him close by. Number two, he wants to tell him, look, Yerushalayim, what does it represent? Ultimately, what does Yerushalayim represent? The Torah. Because all of the great rabbis, the great sages, the Sanhedrin, everybody is in Yerushalayim. It's where all the action is happening. So all the great Torah scholars, they're located there. If Shlomo HaMelech asks Shim'i to be in Yerushalayim, what is he asking from him? He's asking him, sit over here, and this way we can learn together. We can spend time with all the Chachamim, with the Sanhedrin, and then your Torah knowledge and your Limud Torah can protect you. Basically, it was a way of hinting to Shim'i ben Gera, look, really, you deserve to die because of what you did to my father. But you know what's going to protect you? The power of Torah will protect you. If a person is deserving of death, what he should do is he should go to exile in a place of Torah and learn Torah day and night and not leave the Torah, and that Torah will protect the person. So Shlomo HaMelech was basically telling Shim'i ben Gera, if you stay here and you don't leave this place and you stay and learn, nothing's going to happen to you. But the minute you cross these lines of Yerushalayim, the minute you step foot on the other side, you will be killed. I will kill you. Shlomo HaMelech told it to him very directly and very clearly. Shlomo HaMelech had another motivation that's very important to understand. He was motivated, he looks, if Shim'i ben Gera is going to be far away from me, how will I know if he does something wrong? How will I know if he's guilty of doing a crime? He's so far. If I keep him close to me, where I have eyes, where the ministers of Shlomo HaMelech, the people loyal to Shlomo HaMelech are all there, then I'll be able to catch him making a mistake. And then, once he makes a mistake, even a small mistake, that's it. I can carry out the wish of my father, and I can execute Shimei ben Gera. So Shlomo HaMelech did a very, very wise thing by keeping Shimei ben Gera close by. So what do you think Shimei ben Gera says to Shlomo when he hears this? Says to him, והיה ביום צאתך ועברת את נחל גדעון ידוע תדע כי מות תמות דמך יהיה בראשך. Shlomo HaMelech tells him, you're not allowed to leave the city. If you leave the city, you're going to die. Shimei responds to Shlomo HaMelech. Does he accept the command, or does he disregard it? He says to Shlomo, Tov hadavar asher dibarta. The thing that you are saying is very, very good. I 100% agree with it. Yerushalayim is a great place to be. I agree. I will remain in Yerushalayim as the king commands. He accepts upon himself the oath of Shlomo HaMelech in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ken ya'aseh avdecha. You have nothing to worry about. I will keep this. I will not leave Yerushalayim. I agree. Vayeshev Shimei b'Yerushalayim yamim rabim. And the Torah testifies that Shimei built his house in Yerushalayim. He stayed there. He worked over there. He learned Torah over there. He did everything in Yerushalayim. So one would think the plan of Shlomo HaMelech is not going so well, because his whole plan was to get Shimei ben Gera to violate, and Shimei ben was keeping the plan. Vayhi miketz shalosh shanim. 3 years pass. Shimei ben Gera was not a small person. He was very, very rich. He didn't just have a nice house and horses. He had servants too. He had 2 slaves, 2 avadim. An eved is a slave. He had 2 of them that escaped. They ran away from his house in Yerushalayim. Now where were they running to? They were running to the enemies of Am Yisrael, the Pelishtim, on the west. They were going westward to the land of Pelishtim, where there was a king whose name was Achish. Now they knew if they stayed in Jewish territory, then the Jews are very loyal to each other. They're going to take them and they're going to give them back to Shimei ben Gera. But if they run to non-Jewish territory, to the enemies of Am Yisrael, to the Pelishtim, they'll be safe. So they were escaping from Shimei ben Gera. Now Shimei ben Gera had a choice. He could say, okay, they left Yerushalayim, what am I supposed to do? The king told me to stay. Or decide to run after them and catch up to them. He knew that if he runs after them, he'll be able to catch them. If he sends somebody else to do it, it's never going to happen. It's either him or nobody. Lose the slaves. So what does Shimei ben Gera decide to do? He decides to go, ride on his donkey, and leave. Now all the commentaries are bothered. What is he doing? What is he doing? Is he crazy? How do you leave Yerushalayim when you told Shlomo HaMelech you're not going to go ahead and do it? And there's a number of explanations why Shimei ben Gera does this, because number one, he rationalizes, because a slave is worth a lot of money. And to lose a slave is to lose a very valuable possession. So there's a lot of temptation to make rationalizations. Number one, he said, why did Shlomo HaMelech command me not to leave Yerushalayim? You want to know why? He doesn't want me to rebel against him. The command was not to leave Yerushalayim, to cross over the brook of Kidron, to go to my hometown so I don't rebel. But I'm not going to my hometown. I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm going west, not east. So that's not included in what Shlomo HaMelech made me swear to. So he thought, you know what? It's fine. Because that's surely Shlomo HaMelech didn't mean that I can never leave Yerushalayim. He meant I shouldn't go to my hometown. So this was number one. That's the first thing he went ahead and said. Second, he said, you know what? Just in case, I'm going to leave in the middle of the night. Who's going to see me? The middle of the night, everybody's asleep. It's not like today where we have lights and everything. It's completely dark in the middle of the night. Who's going to pay attention? Who's going to notice that I left, got the slaves, come back? I'll be there, I'll be back before anybody knows about it. It's not going to be a problem. Shlomo HaMelech will never find out that this happens. Now, really he was right. But Shlomo HaMelech thought a step ahead. This was a little bit of a chess match, and Shlomo HaMelech was a chess master. He knew that Shim'i might try something funny and try to sneak out. So he actually appointed one of his guards, like a private detective. Every single day, pay attention. Day, night. Where is Shimi ben Gera? What's he up to? What's he doing? I want GPS locator on him. If he moves from where he is, you have to tell me. So Shimi ben Gera didn't know that there was someone always paying attention to what he's doing. He thought, I'll escape at night, nobody will see. Oh, sure enough, people knew, because the guards of Shlomo were waiting for him to leave one of these, even though it was after 3 years. Now you think 3 years passed, Shlomo HaMelech already forgot about it, it won't matter to him. No, Shlomo HaMelech didn't forget about it, and it did matter. Shimi ben Gera thought to himself, but I'm his Rebbe. Oh, come on, he's not going to actually kill me. That's just a threat, that's just like words. He's not actually going to go ahead and do it. That was another calculation. Now you say, Shimi ben Gera is this great man. Why is he running after slaves? Okay, so it's a little bit of money. Do you know there's an interesting halakha? A lot of people are not familiar. A slave that is owned by a Jew has to keep all of the mitzvot that a woman in Am Yisrael has to keep. Even though the slave is not Jewish, it's a goy slave. He purchased him from goyim. The slave himself is not Jewish, he's a goy. He has to keep Shabbat. He has to keep kasher, just like every person in Am Yisrael. The mitzvot that an Eved is hayav is the same commandments that a woman is hayav, plus Brit Milah, because he's a male. So Shim'i ben Gera said a calculation that was very wise. It was very true to who he was. He says, if the slaves remain by me, then what's going to be? They're going to keep the Torah and the mitzvot. I'm going to make them keep the Torah and the mitzvot. If they run away, they're disobligating themselves in the Torah and the mitzvot. By chasing after them and bringing them back, they're going to now keep the Torah and the mitzvot. I'm not chasing after them for myself. I'm doing it so that they don't violate the Torah and the mitzvot that they have to keep. So his mind was Leshem Shamayim. I'm running after them to make sure that they don't absolve themselves from the Torah and the mitzvot. So he says, for sure Shlomo HaMelech, when he told me not to cross over Yerushalayim, he meant for my own personal reasons. But if I'm doing it for mitzvah purpose, so that these slaves don't remove themselves from the mitzvot, oh, of course he's going to understand why I'm doing this. It's not for rebellion, this is for mitzvah. So listen to all of these arguments that Shim'i ben Gera makes. Why he's allowed to go. Why he's allowed to go. It's fine, it's not a problem. He's going to come back right away. So he leaves. The guards come to Shlomo and they say, Shlomo HaMelech, Shim'i ben Gera left the city. He went against your command, which you commanded him to not go. Shim'i didn't realize that Shlomo's command wasn't don't go to your city so that you don't rebel against me. Shlomo's command was literally a perimeter where you are in jail. You have to remain in this city like it's a jail for you. So if you cross anywhere out of Yerushalayim, east, west, north, south, any purpose whatsoever, death. Shim'i ben Gera didn't realize the seriousness of that. So Shlomo HaMelech hears that Shim'i ben Gera returns to Yerushalayim. He's returned. He has his 2 slaves with him. He's back in Yerushalayim. Vayishlach HaMelech. The king sends a message. Vayikra leShimei. Shimei, please come before the king. Vayomer elav. Now that Shlomo HaMelech turns to Shimei and says to him, Halo nishbaticha v'Adonai. I made you take an oath in the name of God. And I warned you to not leave Yerushalayim. And now you should know you are deserving of death if you leave. And you said to me, Tov hadavar. You said, I agree. I will do as you say. You said those words, that you agree. Madua lo shamarta et shivuat Adonai. Why didn't you keep the mitzvah? Why didn't you keep what I told you to do? And shivuat Hashem et mitzvah asher tziviti alecha. So now Shlomo HaMelech does something fascinating. He says to Shimei, you know why this all happened? Because you were really deserving of death. And now he started talking to him about David HaMelech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made this happen because you really deserved death before. The way you treated my father, the way you spoke to my father. Now, you violated this infraction. This is just going to show that you're going to get the punishment that ultimately you always went ahead and you deserved. So Shlomo HaMelech tells his guard, you remember who is the one that carries out the executions of Shlomo? Benayahu ben Yehoyada. So Benayahu ben Yehoyada killed Yoav. Benayahu ben Yehoyada was the one that killed Adoniyahu. He was the one that sent the message to Eviatar that he's no longer Kohen Gadol. Interestingly, according to the Zohar, Benayahu ben Yehoyada was sidelined. Shlomo HaMelech said, no, not you. You're not going to kill Shimei ben Gera. He killed Shimei ben Gera using the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a special Shem. This Shem, if a person says it, anything that he wishes can happen. If you use it negatively, then it can do negative things. It can be very damaging. Shlomo HaMelech said, I'm not going to kill him with the sword because he's a Talmid Chacham and he's a Torah scholar and he's my Rebbe. I'm not going to kill him with the sword. I'm not even going to send Benayahu to do it. I'm going to use the Shema Meforash, the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which Shimei ben Gera desecrated by absolving himself from the vow that he made to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Using the Shema Meforash, he kills Shimei ben Gera. Shimei ben Gera is eliminated, and Shlomo HaMelech himself establishes himself with all of the commands of his father finally being fulfilled. There's only one thing left that we need to explain. And this is a question that Reb Chaim Shmulevitz asked. He says, I don't understand what Shlomo HaMelech was doing over here. David gives him a command to get rid of Shimei ben Gera. So what does he do? He tells him to go to Yerushalayim and to never leave Yerushalayim. In what way does that fulfill the command of his father? In what normal circumstance? Yes, at the end of the day, Shimei ben Gera violated. But how did Shlomo HaMelech know that that's what's going to happen? To this very day, do you know, to this very day, there are actual people that live in Yerushalayim that from the day they were born never left Yerushalayim. It's not just one or two. There's a whole group of people that have lived in Yerushalayim and never left the city their entire lives. So, if you think about it, Shlomo HaMelech's plan doesn't make any sense. You're going to tell them, you're going to tell Shimei to live in Yerushalayim, so he'll live in Yerushalayim. It's a great place to live. You have everything that you need in Yerushalayim. It's like a big yeshiva. What's wrong with that? It's Gan Eden to live in Yerushalayim. Especially for someone like Shimei ben Gera. There's no greater place for him to live. He should be happy. He should never live in the city in his life. Yeah. Plus, even more so than that, if you're going to want him to fail, then you shouldn't tell him the punishment. The opposite. You should be telling him, look, you can't leave Yerushalayim, but hide the fact that you're going to kill him, because if you tell him that you're going to kill him if he leaves, he's never going to leave. Nobody wants to die. So why would you tell him that you're going to kill him if he leaves Yerushalayim when you want him to violate and leave Yerushalayim? Plus, there's another question. Do you know there's another person in Am Yisrael that is not allowed to leave Yerushalayim? You know who else is not allowed to leave Yerushalayim? You have an idea?
Is that a Kohen Gadol?
Yes. It says, Umina mikdash lo yetzeh. Ki nezer mishchat elokav alav ani Hashem. The Kohen Gadol, according to the way the Rambam learns, really is not supposed to leave Beit HaMikdash. He's supposed to remain in the Beit HaMikdash. Except 1 or 2 hours a day, and at night he goes home. And where is his home? Yerushalayim. And he's not supposed to leave Yerushalayim. The Kohen Gadol is not supposed to leave the parameters of Yerushalayim. Yet, there doesn't seem to be a problem. The Kohen Gadol is not a job for 1 year. You have the job forever. Kohen Gadol is until you die. You remain Kohen Gadol. And he has a mitzvah to never leave Yerushalayim. So what is Shlomo HaMelech really doing to Shimi ben Gera? It doesn't make any sense. He's telling him he has to stay there, so he'll stay there for the rest of his life. What Reb Chaim Shulevitz says is a beautiful chidush. It says a person from his own will and his own want can live in Yerushalayim forever. The minute you tell a person that you have to do this, there is no other way, there is a death penalty if you violate, you force him to do something, automatically you shackle him. You know what shackling means? Shackling means you bind his hands together and you've just chained him down. The natural reaction of a person is he wants to be free. There's it's built in to every individual. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be forced. I want to be free. Shlomo HaMelech understands the psychology of people. He understands if I tell him he has to stay in Yerushalayim, and I tell him that it's under the death penalty, you know what I just did? I put chains on him, but I didn't put any chains. I put heavy chains on him with one of those big weights together with the chain. Now, the emotion of Shimi ben Gera, even take a paradise like Yerushalayim. I have to be here. I can't leave. Yerushalayim became a prison. It became a place where he just wanted to escape. So what about the Kohen Gadol? The Kohen Gadol, exactly the opposite. Kohen Gadol understands the reason he can't leave Yerushalayim is because of his prestige, because of his tiferet, his own glory, his own greatness, his own position does not allow him to leave. So for him, it's a privilege to not leave Yerushalayim. He views it as the greatest blessing. Shimi ben Gera saw it as a prison. What's the difference? Because he was forced and he understood why it's good for him. This is why it's always important to never force brothers or children to keep the Torah. So you have to do this. No, you don't have to do this. It's a privilege. Why aren't you coming to Beit HaKnesset? Why don't you pray? Why don't you say Birkat HaMazon? You have to. No, it's an honor to say Birkat HaMazon. It's an honor to come to Beit HaKnesset. It's beautiful. When a person understands something is a privilege, then he's doing it because he wants to do it. If he thinks it's being forced on him, he's going to want to run away from it. Shlomo HaMelech understood that Shimi ben Gera, even such a great person, if I lock him in Yerushalayim, he's going to want to leave. And therefore, when he locked him in, he made Yerushalayim into one big jail. And now Shimi ben Gera is looking for a way out. Shlomo HaMelech in his wisdom understood this. He caught him leaving, and he was able to get rid of him. And that was the end of Shimi ben Gera in this world. Although he was great tzaddik, and in Olam Haba, he's surely in Gan Eden, and his great-great-great-grandson, we already said, is the great Mordechai and Esther. These were descendants of Shimi ben Gera. The people that then went on to save Am Yisrael were of his children. And the fact that David HaMelech saved his life the first time was what allowed Mordechai and Esther to be born in the first place. Now, after they were born, you can have Shimi ben Gera's punishment befall upon him. And that was the end of all of the enemies of David HaMelech. The reign of Shlomo was locked and ready and cemented as a powerful reign where nobody even questioned. Usually, if you have somebody that young, like as young as Shlomo, 12 years old, he was only 12, and he starts killing people that are very, very prestigious and important, like Shimei, like Yoav, what is a nation going to feel about such a young person killing all these people? Usually, it would upset the nation. But with Shlomo HaMelech, everyone understood the reasons why he did it. It was clear that it was done with such wisdom and such beauty that no one questioned Shlomo, and the opposite. They realized that anybody that gets up against Shlomo is going to have the same fate as Adoniah, as Yoav, as Shimei ben Gera. So the kingship of Shlomo from this point on was full and straight peace. Everything was about to change. The whole mindset of Shlomo stopped being about killing, and this is like a new chapter. Shlomo HaMelech now begins to seek to bring what his name really represents, Shalom, peace into the world. From now on, all of the steps of Shlomo's reign will be about making peace and figuring out ways to increase the peace. In truth, even the steps that he did in the last discussions and what we talked about today and the previous weeks was all Shalom. But sometimes for the sake of Shalom, you have to get the people that are trying to bring the Shalom out. And you have to eliminate them. And that's what Shlomo HaMelech did. And now it was final, is cemented, and he was ready to go to the next mission, which we're about to see in the next week. We'll see what Shlomo HaMelech plans next. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.